for mindset. Okay, universal laws are important for mindset. Okay, and mindset is relative. Okay, and one of the universal laws is the law of relativity. Okay, so it's relative to what you're focusing on. Okay, so if you're doing art, there's a mindset for art. Okay, there's a mindset for sports. There's a mindset for different things, right? So for everything, there is a mindset to it. There is a how to. Okay, there is an ideal state of mind or mindset for things. So universal laws. Number one. Good morning, user of the cookies. Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? How you doing? Okay, so the law of divine oneness is the first universal law. Okay, it says that everything in the universe is interconnected. Okay, everything is connected to each other. Okay, so that's the law of divine oneness. The law of vibration. Everything in existence is in constant motion. Everything is vibrating. Nothing is static in the universe. Costas, good morning. Nothing is static in the universe. Okay, this includes thoughts, feelings, objects, and living beings. Okay, so your thoughts carry vibration. Okay, now there's two kinds of action. I always tell you guys there's two kinds of action. Okay, thought and physical action. Okay, it's not just physical action. People think that when you have to take action on something that it's just physical. I'm here to tell you it's mental as well. Okay, so it's mental and physical. Okay, now the law of correspondence. Okay, this explains as above, so below, as within, so without. Okay, as it is in here, it's going to be reflected out here. As it is above, so it will be on earth below. Okay, in the Lord's Prayer, they say, on earth as it is in heaven. Okay, or in the heavens. Okay, we had Jay and I had a discussion. Good morning, Jay. Jay and I were having a discussion about heaven this morning. And yeah, so there's an esoteric heaven, and there the heavens, that's the physical heavens up there. Okay, esoterically, heaven is here. Okay, so and hell is here as well. So it depends on what you choose. Okay, so the law of correspondence. So the law of attraction. Now this is what everybody is talking about, right? But this is because Rhonda Byrne made it popular, okay, and started talking about the art of manifestation. Well, the art of manifestation is relevant, okay, because it's relevant to your actions. Whatever you do has consequences, or let's say a result. If you put forth good actions, you're going to get good results. Okay, positive actions cannot get you negative results. It's impossible. Okay, negative actions cannot get you positive results. Okay, that's also a thing. Okay, but the law of attraction says that like attracts like. And how do we know this? Look at your friends. Do you guys like the same things? Okay, now not all the same things, but a lot of the same things, right? There are commonalities. And this is why, good morning, lady. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Be sure to share the live. And, you know, that's why they say, right? Show me 5 of your closest friends, and I'll tell you who you are. Because like attracts like. Now, why is it that like attracts like? Well, one of the reasons why is because human beings are very impressionable. Okay? So when we get in an environment, for example, when you're in an environment, it doesn't matter where you are, you start conforming to the environment. You start absorbing data from the environment, right? And it doesn't matter if you're forced to be there or if you elect to be there. So let's say you're forced to be in an environment because, let's say you're in college and your parents moved there and you're living with your parents. So now you have to move. Okay, wherever you move to, you will begin to absorb the place. You will begin to take in the place. You will begin to talk like the people that are there. You will be able to, you'll be able to pick up on all these things, so you will, right? And then when you start picking up on these things, okay, pretty soon you're going to find a clique to belong to or a group to belong to. Okay, unless you choose to be by yourself, and that's fine. Okay, but this is how human beings are. We gravitate. We are social beings, and we gravitate to what we think is cool, what we are interested in, what we like. Okay, so, I remember meeting people like in high school, and I used, I met people that I thought were really, really cool. And before too long, I was talking like them, and I was hanging out with them, right? And we used the same catchphrases and the same idioms. I mean, so we began to enjoy each other in that way, and that's how human beings are. We enjoy each other in that way. We not only share, stories and share like-minded activities. We start to say what they say. We start to do what they do. We start to joke around like they joke around. Okay, it's all part of that gelling effect that we have. Okay, and we're very adaptable to different environments. We're like chameleons. Sorry, some of us are like comedians. I used to be a comedian actually. I have some experience in that field. Anyway, so the law of attraction says that like attracts like. Okay, you can also become like. Okay, you can become like something. You can become like your environment. Okay, but you are a product of your environment because, okay, where? That's right, your subconscious. Okay, so that's where manifestation happens. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying these things is because, I'm not trying to get you to believe that this is some kind of mystical, magical thing. This is how every human being is designed. Every human being can manifest better in their lives. This is not about, believing in manifestation. This is not about, witchcraft or that kind of black magic or stuff like that. It's not about that. It's about setting goals and accomplishing them, and how we have a certain edge in accomplishing goals or in bringing things into existence. You can say it that way if you want to. Okay. But I'm not here to sell you a package. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to give. I'm here to share knowledge. Okay. And part of it is people need to start waking up because there's too much fantasy going on. I have young men in the early 20s that come to me, right? So we have a division of Here For You Life Coaching. It's called Modern Males Confidence. And with Modern Males Confidence, what we do is we teach men how to be high value men, okay? How to be leaders, okay? We teach them how to be leaders and how to lead, okay? And a lot of them, it's really funny because a lot of them, always ask me, oh, Uncle, how do we pick up girls? How do we get girls? How do we do that? Can you teach us how to get girls? And I'm like, okay, that's very easy. Be the leader. Focus on your purpose, right? Let the girls find you, right? Girls find me all the time. They still find me. At my age, they're still finding me, okay? And, here's the thing about women. You can't fool them, okay? They have this spidey sense, okay? You can't. I'm telling you, you just can't, okay? And they know if you're the real deal or if you're not, okay? Because they can see through that stuff. Why? Because they're hardwired for survival. Okay, I'm not going to get into too many, relationship deals, but I'm going to give you guys out there, you men out there, a few nuggets. Okay, Costas, I hope you're listening. All right, so I just called out Costas. He joins us every day. He's my friend in Greece. He's on another network. We have different cameras, and we're on 7 different platforms. But for you men out there, okay, listen up. Here you go. You have to be the leader. Okay. So whatever leadership means to you, okay, then you're going to have to really, do some research on this, okay? You have to be the leader. You have to lead a female. That does not mean tell her what to do. That does not mean order her around, okay? So I have all these young men that it's very amusing, Sometimes I feel like Foghorn Leghorn, that cartoon from the old days. I'll say, you're doing it all wrong, son. I sometimes I feel like that. Um, but no, leadership does not mean do this, do that, whatever. Okay, that will put an end to your relationship. Okay, leadership means being proactive. Leadership means taking the lead. Okay, being proactive. If you're proactive with women, they love that. Okay, they love it when a guy has everything taken care of. Okay, and as a man, that's your responsibility. Okay, that's your responsibility. Now I know you hear these things from counselors and therapists, and and they give you the book smart stuff. Okay, they don't give you biology. Okay, if you want to study something, study biological psychology. Okay, study that, and remember that you heard it here. Okay, so study that, and then deal with women. Okay, the problem with men is there's this song called One Beer, and one of my clients brought it to my attention. And it's a song that it talks about this guy gets in a relationship, has a baby with this girl, gets married, and it all started with one beer. Okay, now here's your little bit on relationships today. Listen up, take notes. Okay, so when relationships start, okay, it starts like that. It starts with one beer. It starts with one date. It starts with one interaction. Okay? But here's the thing men do not do. They do not study women first. They have no idea how women are hardwired. They have no idea, okay, biologically how men and women fit, okay, how they fit, okay, what the roles are. Okay? They have no idea what the gender roles are. They have no idea what to do. Okay? All they know is, okay, and then men make this mistake. Okay, so men, hang on, we're coming to the good part for you guys. So men make this mistake. They look at women like dudes with boobies, and that's not what women are. Sorry, guys. They're nothing like us. Not at all. Okay? Men are hardwired for logic, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate emails and stuff. Okay? If you want to write me hate emails, go for it. Junior at hereforyoulifecoaching.com. Okay, but I'm gonna get, because these are generalizations. Okay, and women are hardwired for survival. Men are hardwired for logic. Okay, women are emotional beings. Your role as a man, okay, is to put a fence around those emotions and allow those emotions without participating in those emotions. In other words, without acting like a girl. Okay? And the only time you step in and the only time you do something is when she gets a little too close to the edge of the cliff, and then you just guide her back. It's okay, baby. Come. There you go. Okay, you're good now, right? Okay, that's a just in a nutshell kind of thing. Okay, but our website is modernmalesconfidence.com. And we teach young men how to be confident. Okay, so it includes dating and all of that, yeah, but it's deeper than that. It's about leadership. It's about being proactive. It's about being a quality man. It's about focusing on your purpose. It's about building a life that a woman would want to be a part of, okay, because she's hardwired for survival. Nobody wants a loser, okay? Nobody wants somebody that's living with mommy and doesn't have a job, and I could go on and on. But anyway, so that's what that is, okay? But anyway, young men, what's the good part? I know the guys are like, hey, but what's the good part? Okay, as long as you are focused on your purpose, okay, as long as you make gains, make steady gains, okay, yeah, you're gonna incur losses like everybody else, but you make steady gains. Okay, she will notice you. Why? Because in today's day and age, okay, there are more people, okay, living at home with mommy, playing video games, okay, not being productive, and all of that works in your favor. Okay, another bone I'm going to give you, because you're going to stand out if you focus on your purpose and you just be productive and you just be proactive. Women notice, they will find you. Trust me. Okay. Now here's another thing. Okay, if you're a man, okay, I'm talking to the men. Okay, if you're a man, yeah, you don't have to pursue. What you have to do is get on her radar, okay, and then just be confident. Just get on her radar and then ignore. Mind your own business. She will get your attention. Okay. If you want to consistently attract women into your life, okay, like when you're my age, because I'm still doing it, it still happens. Proud to say, chicks dig me. Okay. All you have to do is focus on your purpose. Okay. You don't chase women, you let women chase you. You focus on your purpose. Chase your purpose. Build your wealth. Okay, now here's where the men have an advantage over women. Okay, because men are visual, okay, women tend to decrease in value as far as looks go. Okay, in the eyes of men. Okay, men, on the other hand, appreciate in value if, here's the if they focus on their purpose. Okay, they tend to make more and more and more and more and more money in life. Okay, they build more stuff, they make more money, they get more things, they drive better cars, they live in better housing projects or buildings or neighborhoods, upscale. They keep going upscale like that. Okay. Not the same for women, okay? So the women that get, so girls here, this is what you pay attention to. So women that were really hot when they were 25, okay, by the time they're 35, 10 years later, her dating capability has been cut in half. And I'm not talking about she can't go out for dates. I'm talking about the guys that will date her. And that pool has shrunk, okay, as far as quality men go. And these are just the facts of life. This is just what it is. It's not about, yeah, I wish everything was fair. It's not about that though, okay? So if you're a woman, what do? You become a woman of substance. Women of substance. You know, the girls that go to college, the girls that work hard, the girls that get certified for this, that, and the other thing, the girls that get degrees, and okay, because those girls appreciate in value. The girls that get by on their looks, okay, they have a window, okay, and by the time she hits 40, that window gets really tiny. That window gets really small like that, okay. Yes, there are exceptions. Yes, there are women that can get by on their looks at 40 or 45. Yeah, can. Okay, there are exceptions. But the majority, I'm talking about the majority, okay? So, yeah, women, do your homework, okay? If you're a woman that thinks, you get by on your looks, you're enjoying that, go get some degrees and be a woman of substance so that when that runs out, you have something to capitalize on, not just fall back on, but capitalize on and move forward and increase in value. Okay, so the law of attraction, that's what the law of attraction is. We're talking about universal laws this morning. So the law of attraction, right? Like attracts like. Okay, so we're talking about attraction. That's a little side journey on relationships for you guys. All right, so law of inspired action. While the law of attraction draws things towards you, okay, the law of inspired action says that when you get inspired thought, you take action on it. Now remember, there's two kinds of action, okay? Mental action, physical action. so you can take the steps towards it, or you can apply thought to it. And remember, the law of attraction says whatever you focus on intensifies. So your thoughts will intensify something or make it greater, but it takes focus. Okay, it takes extreme mental focus. Again, and it's not that easy to acquire, but it's not that hard. Okay, there's some work involved. Okay, applied focus. There's some work involved with that. Okay, the law of inspired action means when you get that inspired thought, like, oh, you should do this. Okay, what happens to thwart our inspired thought? The left hemisphere of the brain, the logic. Okay, because we'll get that creative thought from the right hemisphere of the brain. You know, maybe you should start a business. Maybe you should, distribute this, that, and the other thing. Maybe you should, join this club or whatever and do what they're doing. And then the left brain kicks in and goes, well, the last time you tried something, right? It'll start giving you reasons, right, to not follow intuitive thought. And after a while, you just say, that's just a silly thought. That was stupid. I'm here to tell you to follow intuitive thought, follow your dreams, follow your crazy ideas. That's all I do. That's all I do. I've been living this way since 2007. That's all I do. Okay, and I've done some pretty wild stuff. And some pretty wild stuff has materialized, and I'm like, whoa, like it surprises me. It surprises me because I don't know how to do anything. Okay, I don't know how to build companies. I don't know how to run businesses. I don't know how to do any of that. God does it for me. Okay, the how is God's job. You can hire somebody. I have a CPA, so I hire a CPA, right? Okay, I have an attorney. You can hire an attorney. You can hire a CPA. Okay, you can hire somebody to do whatever it is you do. Entrepreneurs hire people. They hire people who are really good at what they do. Okay, that's the job of an entrepreneur. It's not to know everything involved in the company. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that I do that I don't even know about, but I do it because the how is God's job. Okay, now you can put your faith in external things, or you can put your faith in internal things. Okay, Jesus Christ told us the kingdom is within. Now you can either work from the kingdom, or you can work from out here. But what you can't do is work from in here and out here at the same time. You have to pick and choose. I mean, you have to choose. Okay, because if you're going to work out here, just know that your gains are temporary. If you're going to work out here, just know that there's going to be some confusion. There's going to be some things you can't explain. Okay, and when you work from in here, there's going to be things you can't explain either, but they're going to turn out good. And you're going to go, whoa, I didn't even know how that happened. Okay, so faith is a thing. Faith in God is a thing. Okay, God will build the bridge for you to get from point A to point B in such a way that you will wonder when you get to point B, like, I don't know how that happened. Okay, half of the things in my life are unexplainable. I don't know how it happened. I just said, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And the rest, as they say, is history. Okay. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Okay, now this law tells us that bad energy can be converted to good energy. It can transmute, it can change form. Okay, so the other thing is perception. Okay, perception plays into this. Why? Because sometimes things present themselves as bad energy, but they're transmutable. What does this mean? Well, have you ever seen something that looks on the onset, okay, on the onset, at the beginning of it, right? At the onset, it looks negative, right? It looks bad. It looks like, this is, maybe it looks like something went wrong. And then you have a little patience, and you observe a little. And slowly you start to find the good part of what's going on. And then you observe that. And what happens when you observe stuff, right? Whatever you focus on intensifies. And now the good part starts to grow. And guess what? you see it shift right in front of you. Okay? So instead of being that negative thingy that you thought, right? With observation, pretty soon it starts going like this, right? And then now what? Now it's shifted to positive, or it shifted to good, or the other side. Okay, so energy, the transmutation of energy from negative to positive. It also goes from positive to negative. Okay, so be careful. Okay, number 7, the law of cause and effect. Right? Everything, every cause has an effect. Every action has a result. Okay. You want to be successful. The book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. That book is all about cause and effect. That book just tells you if you do everything 100%, every action 100%, be thorough with everything you do 100%, right? Because we're all guilty of doing a little bit of this and then a little bit of this and a little bit of that, right? Because if we do 100% here, 100% here, 100% here, that's a lot of work. Sometimes we don't want to do all the work. Okay, so we're not thorough is what it's talking about, being thorough. And when we're not thorough or thoroughly prepared or completed thoroughly, what happens? Not as good results. Okay? So how does this law help us? Well, it tells us if you put in 100%, you get out 100%. You put in 25%, you get out what looks like 25%. So if you want a good effect or a good result, put in 100% over here. Guarantee 100 comes out there. Guarantee. Okay, law of compensation, number 8. Okay, the law of compensation says whatever you give, you get. You give a little, you get a little. You give a lot, you get a lot. You ever see those people that, just they have such an easy life, like things come to them really easy? Okay. Do you also notice that they give really easy? They just give. And they just get, right? Okay. So when we started our first company, well, actually, when we started my second company, the singing school was my second company. When we started our second company, we built in this discount tuition comp free time clause into our into our company policy, and it became our company policy to give and to give extra time. So we give extra time to the people that pay, and sometimes people cannot pay. Sometimes I meet some really, really talented people. They cannot pay. I say, come on, come, just come. At one point, I think years and years and years, it must have been like 25 years ago, and I've been teaching for 37 years. About maybe 25 years ago, I used to tell these kids, they were very, very talented high school kids, and I used to tell them, well, just bring peanut butter and bread or what. I used to give them a shopping list. I used to say, okay, you cannot afford the $200 a month, no problem. Bring some groceries, right? And so they end up bringing like $75-$80 of groceries, and it's good. It's good. Okay. I always had peanut for a time. I always had peanut butter. I love peanut butter. So I always had peanut butter. Okay. So money is not everything. Okay. We needed to pay the bills. Okay. But if you're all like money, tit for tat kind of thing, okay, you're never gonna get anywhere. You'll get these immediate gains, these short-term gains. Okay. But eventually what happens is you incur huge losses because everything's for me, everything's mine, everything's like this, everything's like that. Okay? Give. Don't be afraid to give. Nobody ever went bankrupt from giving. Okay? I can tell you that from experience. Okay? Nobody went bankrupt from giving or being generous. Generosity, kindness, okay? Compassion, love, understanding. Those things go a long way in business, and they go a long way in your personal life. All right. So the law of relativity, it says that everything's relative. Okay. It's relative to your perception. So everything's relative according to what you're doing. Okay. In its context, in its proper context. Okay. So this law reminds us to practice gratitude and perspective. Why? Because everything's relative. Okay, be grateful for whatever it is that you have, whatever it is you get to do, whatever it is, whatever it is. Okay, be grateful. The law of polarity, 10. Okay, the 10th universal law. Law of polarity, yin and yang. Okay, so yin and yang tells us that, in order to have the light, we have to have the dark. Okay, so there's good and bad. There's always going to be good and bad. There's always going to, you look at the news and you see the crime. We're shown more crime because, we have the means now. We have technology that shows us all these things in real time. Okay, but there's always been bad. There's always going to be bad. You can't run from bad. It's always going to be there. Okay, but here's the thing. When you raise your vibration, okay, and this might sound a little out there to some of you, but when you raise your vibration, drama cannot affect you. I haven't had drama for like so many years. I can't even tell you. Not at all. Okay. Not at all. Sometimes it kind of feels weird. It kind of feels strange. It does. Because there was a time in my life, especially my 20s, and drama every day. Okay. I just had this girl. I offered to help her for free because her mom and my mom are friends. And I offered to help her for free. And she's so embroiled in her drama. She actually told me yesterday, she goes, Uncle, I really appreciate your help, but like, it's just too much drama in my life right now. And I'm like, well, that's what I was gonna help you with, but okay, everything happens in its own time. Even if you want to offer to help somebody, right? If they're not ready for the help, if they haven't had enough drama, or if they haven't had enough, hitting the wall, sometimes you got to hit the wall a few times. I had to hit the wall many times when I was in my 20s. By the time I was 28, not so much. I mean, hit the wall once in a while. By the time I was in my early 30s, hardly hit the wall at all. After that, no more wall hitting. Okay, so it's a gradual progression. Okay, so the law of polarity. Okay, there is always an opposite, always. Okay, law of rhythm. What's the law of rhythm? Everything has a rhythm. Everything in the universe has frequency, has rhythm. Nothing is static. Okay, when money goes out during the month, and then money comes back. Did you know you can increase that flow? All you have to do is pay attention to the rhythm. See, doubt and fear keep you from things. Okay. So, when money starts going out, you get paid, right? Like I used to have a job like that, like, I don't know, 30 years ago. And you get paid, and then the money slowly, right? Go down, slowly, right? Pretty soon it's about like, I don't know, 5 days before the next paycheck. Okay, and you're running on fumes, right? There's hardly anything there. Right? And what do? We get anxious, we get nervous, we get uptight, we have a short temper. Those things happen, right? Because we're upset, right? Because no money, right? Or very little money, right? Can't do this, can't do that, have to restrict ourselves, kind of thing, right? Okay, so here's what you do. The next time money's running low like that, okay, watch comedies. Watch comedies on YouTube. Watch comedies online. Start laughing, start having a good time, make yourself happy, okay? And you're gonna see money start to come in, okay? Or it will come in faster. Because what happens is when you start fearing and doubting, okay? So fear, anger, all of this All the negative emotions are rooted in fear. Okay, that's anxiety, nervousness. When you're uptight, okay, all of that, anger, everything. It's all lower vibrations. It pushes money away like this, and it keeps money like this. So money may be trying to get to you, and this maybe this is not the paycheck. Maybe this is a relative or somebody wants to give you money, wants to do something nice for you. Okay, every once in a while I give away money. It's good for the soul. Just grab like $21 bills or whatever, give it to kids, give it whatever, give it to whoever. Give it to the Starbucks barista, stuff the box, that kind of thing. Every once in a while. It's good for you. Do that. It'll bring more money. But that's when you start changing your mood, when things start to slow down, when things start to be scarce. Okay? You change your mood. What do? You attract it. It starts coming back. Okay? Find excuses to be happy. Find excuses to be joyful. Find excuses to laugh and have a good time. Okay? Even though on the inside, you don't have money. Even on the inside, kind of looks scarce. It's kind of like running out. Okay? Change your mood and be positive and laugh and that kind of thing. Okay? Watch what happens. Okay? It's going to get better. Okay? So that's the law of rhythm. Watch the rhythm. When you're aware of when money comes in and when money goes out, you can see it after a while. And you can predict it after a while. So you're going to know where to make yourself happy, right? Like, when money is here, automatic happy, right? Okay. So when money starts slowing down, starts going out, okay, over here, that's when you put effort into being happy. Okay? And you watch, it's gonna change. Your situation will change. The law of gender says there's masculine and feminine to everything. Okay, now we were talking a little bit about relationships earlier. Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you about masculine and feminine. Okay, masculine men have feminine women. Okay, you cannot have masculine men and masculine women. It doesn't happen. Okay, and vice versa. Okay, so what happens when you allow the woman to be the boss of the house? She turns masculine. What happens to the man? That's right, he turns feminine or displays feminine qualities. You ever see a woman in charge of a household, right? And the man starts to complain like a woman, starts to bitch like a woman, right? Okay, that happens. Okay, and it's called role reversal. Okay, but role reversal happens with the most innocent of circumstances. Okay, and it starts with the man trying to be kind, trying to be thoughtful, and it's up to you, honey. But what's really going on is he's relinquishing responsibility. He's relinquishing that proactivity. Now he's putting it on her. Then she becomes the boss. Okay, and then she gets tough, right? And she gets tough. Okay, and then she starts acting tough, right? Okay, what happens to him? Well, he starts to complain, right? He starts to whine. He starts to do these things that are characteristically feminine. Okay? So, men, maintain your masculinity if you want a feminine female. Okay? If you want a, masculine female, I don't know. I've never really wanted one of those, but if that's what you want, okay? Then go ahead, go whine, complain, nag, bitch, do all those things, and and pretty soon she'll get tired of it, okay? Because they get tired of being masculine. They just want to be girls. They just want to be women, okay? And what happens, lady? I'm sure you know, okay? My women over here, they're hitting the hearts, okay? So what happens? Well, she will leave this guy. Why? Because he's acting like a girl, and she doesn't want to be married to a girl. And so she's going to go look for a man. All right, there you go. That's your relationship bonus, okay? But now we're going to We're going to also look at the 7 hermetic principles. Sorry, the seven hermetic principles. Okay, the principle of mentalism is number 1. All that is mind. Okay, the all is mind. Okay, the universe, it's thought, it's mind. Okay. Now, first you think it, then what? You do it. Okay. First you think it, then you speak it into existence, you bring it into existence. Okay, you create the actions that bring it into existence, but it begins in thought first. Okay, the universe is mental. Okay, everything that exists has its origin in thought or consciousness. Okay, number 2, the principle of correspondence. Okay, that's the universal law of correspondence, right? As above, so below, as within, so without. Correspondence, right? Whatever's in here is going to be reflected out here. So you know that guy that gives you a ride home? If his car is messy, if his car is, things scattered all in his car, that's how he is in here. You go in your office when you go to work, and where you work at, your company or whatever, and you see this girl, and she has her desk, it's immaculate, it's clean, everything, it's in its place. That's how she is in here. So the law of correspondence tells us whatever's going on in here is going to be reflected out here. Okay, you can tell a lot about a person when you visit their house, when you go for a ride in their car, or when you see in their car, or when you look at their desk, or guys, when you look at their tool room or their shop, right? Okay, that kind of, look in their garage, okay, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's the principle of correspondence. The principle of vibration, same thing. So the hermetic principles are found in universal law. Okay, some of them are different. Okay, the principle of vibration, same thing. We talked about vibration. Number 4, principle of polarity, same thing. Everything has its opposite. Okay, the principle of rhythm, principle of cause and effect, the principle of gender, those are the 7 hermetic principles. Same as in universal law. Okay. But the hermetic principles are, somebody asked me to, oh, do you know about the hermetic principles? I'm like, well, yeah, it's all in universal law. Okay, but there you go. So, we were talking the other day about certain manifestation techniques. Okay, I'm going to get into a little bit of that. We have about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to talk about manifestation. Costas, how you doing, man? Thank you, lady. Thank you, Christy, for joining us. So manifestation, right? It's not mystical. It's not magic. It's not black magic. It's none of that. Okay, I've had Christians tell me, oh, that's demonic. You're summoning demons when you do that. I'm like, really? What? Oh, vision boards, vision. I'm like, yeah, that's subconscious. Okay, so let's take affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay, let's talk about visualization. Okay, the first element of visualization, or the first part of visualization, is to see yourself worthy in the first place. You have to see yourself worthy. If you don't see yourself worthy, it's going to bring fear or doubt. Okay, you're going to doubt yourself. If you don't feel worthy, okay, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, you're going to doubt yourself in any process. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're trying to buy a car, trying to buy a house, trying to get married, trying to have a girlfriend, whatever it is, form a relationship. It doesn't matter what it is. Get a job. You have to believe in this one first, okay? Because God lives in here. Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within, okay? So when you love God, I know people that say they love God, right? They have no concept of self-confidence at all. I'm like, I thought you said you love God. Oh yeah, I love God. And this one lady, she was a Seventh-day Adventist. She was telling me, well, Jesus is in heaven. I'm like, where's heaven? She said, up there. Jesus lives in here. Okay? There is no separation. Okay? There's a separation between the body and the spirit. Okay? But that's it. The spirit is in here. You're not your body. You're not your name. You're that energy that lives in here, the spirit that lives in here. And when you come from that perspective, life changes because everything is energy, and there is a greater energy than us. We are smaller units, small individual units, each person, small individual units of this energy. And the Holy Spirit is in everyone. But you have to activate it. You have to use it. It's like that angel and devil on the shoulder, right? Which one you're going to serve? Which one you're going to listen to? Which one are you going to get influence from? Okay? Because we're human beings. We go back and forth. Okay? I used to go to this church. It's one of the biggest churches in Hawaii. I used to go to this church. I used to see the way people act on Sunday. I used to see them during the week. Online, right? Like, criticizing, doing all the things Jesus said was not good to do, basically, right? And then Sunday, whoa, we're praising the Lord, we're praising God, right? But then their concept of God was like, okay, God's up there in the sky, like up in the heavens. Okay, there are the heavens, okay, but heaven is here. Okay, Jesus lives in here, God lives in here. You are a co-creator with God. You guys are partners like this, okay? But you have to ask. Ask, believe, receive. Mark 11:24 in the Bible for you Christians, okay? Now, I'm not here telling you how to believe or what to believe, okay? These are just things that I do, okay? These are just things that I've learned. Things that the way I believe, okay? You believe how you want. I'm not here to influence. I'm not that kind of influencer. I'm a different kind of influencer. So, you ask, believe, receive. Where do you ask? You ask in here. Close your distractors like this, okay? Go in your center, okay? And ask. And believe in your asking. You have to have confidence to believe in your asking, and that's why my teaching focuses on confidence. I teach confidence all over the country, online, on FaceTime. Just like you see me now on the cameras, just like this. I have appointments. I have this veteran. I have this veteran in West Virginia. Love this guy. He's been with me for almost 2 years. 2 years? Oh yeah, over 2 years he's been with me. He's a different man today. When I met him, he was all uptight. He was all like matter of fact, all like, now he's warm. Now he's a gentler version of himself. He's warm, he's open, all of those things. See, he had PTSD, okay? And I had to get him out of the PTSD. And that's what your voice does. Your voice gets you out of this stuff, okay? It stops the overthinking. It stops the fear. It gets the fear out. Okay, today, like, he's such a mellow guy. He's playing guitar and singing now. When I met him, he couldn't sing. Then I got him singing. Then he was taking guitar lessons. And now we're to the point where he can sing and play guitar and have fun. But the best part is that he doesn't suffer his PTSD like he used to. There's a little bit. PTSD always comes back a little bit. It's like trauma. Trauma comes back a little bit. Okay, the definition of trauma is something negative that happened that stuck out really bad. Okay, it made a huge impression on your subconscious. That's all it is. You can't erase it. You can diminish it. You can control it. You can have it down to bare minimum. Okay, but it never really goes away. Okay, because you always remember it. You have a memory. So that's what your subconscious is. Your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. Okay, from the time you were born till now. But you were born with infinite intelligence because there's the conscious, subconscious, superconscious. The superconscious, or God, or source, or universe, or Jesus Christ, or Allah, or whatever you want to call that, however you believe. But that's higher intelligence, infinite intelligence. And you have access to that through your subconscious. And if you don't believe me, ask your subconscious a question and you're going to get the answer. But you have to trust. In order to trust, you're going to have to be confident. This is where confidence comes in, okay? So we do an energetic clearing of people with their voice. The voice purges all that stuff. Okay, oxytocin and endorphins flood your brain. They're projected by the neurotransmitters when you project your voice. Okay, so for those of you that want to check it out, go put on your favorite songs in the car and put it on max volume and roll up your window so nobody hears you. And sing your lungs out. And you're going to notice afterwards that you feel lightheaded. Okay, you're going to notice afterwards that you feel a little, that you feel a little lightheaded, a little woozy, but you feel good, right? You're going to feel good, that kind of thing. Okay, that's the endorphins and oxytocin. Now, when you go through cycles of this, okay, so for you guys that want to try it, if you guys do this every day, okay, do it once a day, do it every day, okay, you're going to be amazed at what happens. Okay, you're going to be amazed because you're going to start feeling better and better and better, more relaxed up here, more relaxed up here. Pretty soon the overthinking goes away. Okay, the overthinking goes away. What happens? Clarity happens. Okay, awareness begins to expand. Okay, and what does that do? That fixes almost everything in your life. Because when you're clear, you make better decisions. When you make better decisions, you get better outcomes, better results. Okay, so I don't have that much time. I'm trying to rush by all this stuff, run it by you guys. Okay, but this is what I do. And this is why when you go to my singing school on Google, you go to Trustpilot, Voicemaster Vocal Development, there's nothing but 5-star ratings. I think we have 60 on Trustpilot, 30-something or 40-something on Google or whatever it is. I don't know. But this is why we only get 5-star ratings, because your voice can create magic if you do it a certain way with strength. Okay? It's not about yelling. It's about consistent tones and how long you can hold it. And the stronger your diaphragm gets, the longer you can hold it. The longer you hold it, the better it is for your neurotransmitters. Okay, it creates lasting change. So I'm very blessed to be able to teach across the United States. I have many clients in the mainland. I've had tons of clients in the mainland. Okay, and that's what I do from my laptop at home. Okay, but this is important to know. So do your homework. Do some research. Do some research into the healing aspect of the human voice. Check it out. It's a real thing. Okay, it will help you. If you suffer from anxiety, if you suffer from overthinking, okay, if you suffer from confidence or lack of confidence, nobody suffers from confidence. Okay, but this is very important to know. So confidence is the core. Like, oh no, I'm confident, because I ask them on the phone when they get a hold of me. I'm like, is this more about confidence or more about being a good singer? That's for my singing school. I'm not talking about life coaching, my singing school. And they always tell me, well, no, I'm pretty confident. And then comes the first session, right? And that's what separates the men from the boys and the women from the girls, okay? And then they discover that they're really not confident inside. Okay, and this is what I'm telling you about. So many people I saw, they went to church on Sunday and said, yeah, believe in God, yeah, love God, believe in God, but don't believe in themselves. It's impossible. You have to believe in yourself because God lives in here. You carry God around every day. But you have eyes that look away from the kingdom. When you start to employ these things, okay, let's call it manifestation, let's call it accomplishing goals. When you set the goal, complete the goal, set the goal, complete the goal, set the goal, complete the goal, you start to notice a pattern. when the right people come into play, you meet the right people just out of the blue. Just the right person. Oh, wow, I was working out at the gym and I just met this guy, and then he works where I want to work, and he got me inside. That kind of thing. When these things start to happen, right? We call them coincidences, right? But when these coincidences start to happen, you have to ask yourself, is this God or is this me? I'm here to tell you it's God. I'm here to tell you there's a higher power than us. I'm here to tell you that there's a higher energy than us, a greater energy than us. And when we make an imprint on that energy with a good heart, with good intentions, with positivity, with positive vibes, with good emotions, it returns it to us in kind. But when we're angry, okay, when we're belligerent, when we think we know it all and we start striking out, right, then it returns bad circumstances to us. God doesn't punish. Get that out of your heads. God will never punish you for anything. You punish you. You punish you. For all of your bad choices, you will suffer bad consequences. I can't even imagine what some of the people in prison are living with in here. Okay? They live with torment every day. They don't act like it, right? Because it's not prison-like conduct to be weak like that, right? But it happens. We punish. We punish through our choices. We punish through our actions. Okay? But hopefully we learn. Okay? And all it takes, here, positive, negative, 50 percentile. All it takes is just a little effort to push this over here 1%. Okay, now 51%, 49%. Now your life is majority positive, see? And that's all it took was 1%. So that's a good start. If you can do 1%, you're winning. If you can do 1%, you have a great start to build a great life. And keep pushing, okay? Keep pushing. You get to 55. Okay. 60. Ooh, that's tough. That's hard. Okay. If you run across somebody and they tell you they're 90% positive, like over here, that's superhuman. Okay. Look for their cape. All right. It's 8 o'clock in Honolulu, Hawaii. And thank you, lady. Thank you so much. You're so kind. You've been liking the live the whole time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Costas, thank you for being here. Thank you, Costas. Thank you for liking the live. Darlene, thank you. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you for coming. Yep. Thank you too, Costas. Say aloha to everybody in Greece for us, okay? And we'll see you guys again tomorrow morning. So we're here on 7 platforms every morning. 7 platforms at 7 a.m. every day, 7 days a week. Okay? That this is my community service, and I didn't even do anything wrong. But anyway, so we'll see you guys again tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock Hawaii.